Welcome, everybody, to Looking Ahead, the Rhino Power Hour with Ryan Hughes. That's me. And we're back on the Big 49, ready to attack. So, hey, you had a question before we went to break. What was it?
This last week, I saw on a post that Jett Lawrence and his girlfriend recently announced apparently that they're pregnant or they're having a baby.
Nice.
And that's great. But there's a level, he's a young man. He just got into the sport, 5 years ago? 4 years ago? I mean, professionally?
Yeah.
As a vet that you are, what, for a young family and a young father, what advice would you give a guy like Jett Lawrence for managing career, family, marriage, girlfriend? That's a lot, man.
Well, I guess the thing is that I don't think it was planned. So it was a oops.
Okay.
No way is it planned at 21 years old or 20 years old. No way.
Okay.
I had my first child when I was 24.
Okay.
So I was right in the middle of my career, same thing. So it was exciting, and I was happy to have a child and this and that. But unfortunately, that child will not get all of Jett, and that woman will not get all of Jett. Impossible. So Jett will be there, but his mind is going to be somewhere else. Because again, you can't be the best in the world at a sport like motocross and be able to think about your wife or your child all the time. They're coming second. I'm sorry. And it's because of what it takes. You're constantly training, you're constantly resting, you're constantly healing, you're constantly traveling, constantly racing, all this stuff. And then, so you're constantly planning. So you're always in your mind. Even if you are there with the baby, this and that, you're still kind of distant, right?
Okay.
And this could be the worst thing that happened to his career, meaning kryptonite-wise, because it'll soften him up, man. I noticed it. I noticed it right away before I got with my ex. Dude, in between motos, I'd have this fucking fire. Like, dude, I wanted to kill people. Like, my God, right?
Yep.
Then I got in with my ex, and it's like something softened me a little bit. That's like boxers. They say they don't allow them to be with women a month before the fight. Why? Because it softens you, dude. Right? 100%. So that's the only thing. Is it right or is it wrong? I don't, what I'm saying, but these are the scenarios of what, can happen. So my advice to him would be like, all right, bud, you have to be roles now. You have to have different costumes. So when you go to the track, you are the racer, you're the motocrosser, take off the dad, take off the husband costume. And
Okay.
you go there and you're ferocious. You're an animal. Once you're done with that, then you have to put the other suit on, of now your dad and your husband, and you're not the motocrosser. So it's almost like you maybe have to do that kind of internally, like, hey, you're rolling up to your house now. Okay, give yourself 2 minutes and watch the warrior go out and watch the dad come in. You know what I'm saying?
How is that?
But do it mentally.
How do you do that? How do you compartmentalize that?
It's just practice, I would imagine. It's practice.
Okay.
It's practice. I guess it's practice by being aware of it. By being aware of that, okay, I have to have two roles. I can't intertwine them. It's like the sergeant coming home from military and dealing with his family. Well, what's the family turn into? His troops.
Yeah.
The doctor coming home, if they turn into his patients, so to speak, right?
Yep.
So it's the same thing. And so it's a beautiful thing to bring a kid into this world. And but the timing, I don't know. But hey, you know what? It's supposed to happen because it's happening. It's supposed to happen, so it's happening. So make it happen. But now do it right. Fine tune it. Fine tune it. And yeah. So yeah.
100%. Now, when do you think the effects of that double role kind of come into play? Is that after the child is born, or is that as soon as your girlfriend comes home and says, "By the way,
I don't think any man really gets it, because it's like I always say, it's like, because women are like, well, why aren't you excited that I'm pregnant? Why aren't you excited? I'm like, look, this is what it's like. It's like someone saying, hey, I got a Ferrari in the garage. I'm building the Ferrari in the garage, but you can't open that garage. You can't even look in there. But I'm going to build you the baddest Ferrari there is. A guy will be like, well, if I can't look in there, then I can't see it. Well, then
Got it.
Yeah, because it's out of sight, out of mind. The woman has a baby growing in her. You cannot not notice it. So it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, okay, the baby's kicking. But when it comes out, then it's like, oh my God, whoa, right? Then that happens. So I would imagine he's going to start feeling this when it starts becoming due day.
Okay.
Due date comes, because now I'm flying out. Oh shit, she can't fly with me. Oh my God, I got a race and it's born the next day. Oh, I missed its birth. Because that can happen, man.
Yep.
Because you cannot not come to a race. If you're a baseball player, football player, basketball player, you can miss a game, no problem. But a racer cannot miss a race. You're done. So he can't do it. So that could be a little bit of a thing that way. And then then after that, there's always going to be that thought. Now he's laser focused, only motocross, only win, only. He opened the door to allow another thought to come in, so now it might not be so laser focused.
So you're thinking that this is going to be a real issue come mid Supercross next season?
If it is an issue,
Yep.
that's when it would. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
It might not ever be an issue. It might not be at all. Might not be. Go.
Maybe perfect.
Might be perfect.
He may be a Superman.
He might be a Superman, but who knows?
Okay. I brought that up for two reasons. Obviously, because it pertains to the sport that we are around and are involved in. But the second reason why I brought that up was you were talking earlier in your first break about you get to a certain level in your life and you got a lot going on. You get established. And when you bring in other people later in life, it gets more difficult because they have to accept you for all the things that you are, not all the things that you're going to become.
Yeah.
And that's where I look at a guy like Jett right now and I say, I'm kind of envious of him to one extent because he can grow into this role versus think of it as you're a parent, you're a single parent, and now you're out dating again.
Yeah.
And she has to come in and accept your fatherly duties and your professional duties and your life, and you've got to make time for her.
Yeah.
That's even more of a juggling match, I would think.
Yeah, and it's tough. Hey, you're getting together with a woman at 19 years old. 19 years old. You guys don't even know each other. You don't even know yourself.
Yep.
You're gonna change so much, and usually relationships, marriages that happen that young just don't work out down the road. Hate to say it, because you guys change and grow so much. It's almost kind of like dick and pussy in the beginning. That's it. But then you start to grow and change. That you start to find out you're somebody different, she's somebody different, and now somebody different is actually more exciting, right? And so where's the guy in the sport that is the top of the sport, badass, that doesn't have a girlfriend or wife and just does the James Hunt style, right?
Yep.
James Hunt on you've seen that movie, right? Rush. He's an F1 driver.
Okay.
Just full playboy,
Yep.
Yeah, Nicky Lauder and James Hunt.
I remember the rivalry there.
So like if I was Jason, or if I was, him, I would be like, dude, on my back of my pants, man, I'd have like my number, I'd have like an Instagram, I'd be running it, because again, you get it out of your system, bro.
Yeah.
Get it out of your system, because if you don't get it out of the system, it's coming up down the road. And somebody that popular, that much money, that good looking, all this, I don't give a shit, man. We're humans.
That's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
Now, how does that happen in the sport for a young 250? Like, where does that stardom, that element of growth happen when you're going from an amateur into a professional rider? Does that happen at the very beginning, or does that happen as you climb that pinnacle level?
What do you mean?
That instantaneous stardom kind of...
Well, I guess that just depends on how good you are. Because there's a lot of people come from amateur and come into the pros and like, oh, they're already gone? They don't race anymore? Because they didn't do shit.
Okay.
Right? They didn't do shit. Or they kind of just, okay, fifth, sixth. Oh, yeah, he's good, but not stardom. You come and you start winning, or you come in like Jett and you just dominate. Well, then you became so much shinier than anybody else, right? So it just depends on you. It depends on how good you are and your results of how instant that star status will become, I guess.
As a rider who's been down that road, my next question is, how do you deal with that level of all of a sudden yesterday you were mom and dad's dependent / they were your pit crew. Today you're on a semi tractor trailer. You've got a factory bike. You've got money in the bank. You don't have to be stressed about repairs and parts and training anymore because it's all kind of coming your way. How does a young rider deal with that?
Well, I think you let your actions speak, I guess, right? Yeah, there's that pressure, and some people can't handle the pressure of factories. They really can't. And but I think it's kind of like a progression, It's the faster you get, the bigger the class, just that more that kind of pressure starts to happen.
Okay.
And so then once you get to that point, it's kind of like you're already groomed for it. Nobody's groomed you, but you've kind of groomed yourself. So the only thing that you do is just you have a better bike, you're making more money, you have a better team, but the only thing kind of different is that now you're expected to win.
The reason why I ask you specifically that question is because you and Jeremy came up together.
Yeah.
And you both had you were very fast from the very beginning.
Yeah.
You grew into the sport very quickly. So I was asking basically because that's kind of what Jett's going through.
Yeah, it's different times because we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have that stuff, so it wasn't like we weren't getting bombarded by
Social
fans
media.
and social media because nobody could contact us unless they had your I don't even know if we had emails then. Or your phone number.
Okay.
Really, right?
I can't believe how fast the hour is just clicking by so fast.
Well, I guess when you have things to talk about or you got someone that has a motor in their mouth,
I have to
you
say,
can do it.
You're making time go by quick.
Yeah,
So
that's what she said.
you're making it go by really fast.
Yeah,
I'm looking here at the clock and I'm going, wow,
That's like I said. That's what she said.
hours going by quick. So last hour or our last break, we were talking about being young, growing into the sport. Last week it was announced, I saw on social media that Jett Lawrence and his young bride / girlfriend announced that they are pregnant. They're having a baby. And it brought me into thinking about you and when you were young as a young rider growing up, and now you're training young riders. You got Austin Faulkner. What would you do if, let's say, Austin came to the track one afternoon with his bride and his baby, and you knew that he was playing a double game? He wasn't riding to his fullest potential.
Yeah.
As his coach, how do you deal with that?
Same thing as I did this year, and I always do. When he gets to the track, I said, all right, you are the racer, you are the rider. You're not the boyfriend, you're not the husband, you're not the friend. You don't even ride for Pro Circuit. You're nobody except the rider. And then he'd close his eyes, and he'd nod his head, go, let's go. Same thing. Get your roll, man. Get your roll. Make sure when you come to this track, you're that man if you want the most out of it. But if you come to that track and I'm just coming here, well, you're gonna only get what's coming to you. But if you come with that intensity, that that focus all the time, you're gonna get more out of your day. It's gonna probably be a safer day because your attention's there, and how you practice is how you race. So if you come to the track half-assed, you come to the track and your mind's wandering, that's how you come to the race, man. Okay? You come to the track with that same mentality all the time, that comes out on the racetrack. So it'd be the same thing that I do, even that he doesn't have a child, and or if his wife isn't there, same thing I do.
Okay.
It's just be the role. Be the role.
As a coach of a young rider, are you really concentrating more on the head than the body first, or are you concentrating more on the body than the head?
Well, I guess the first, back when I first started coaching, it was all, fitness, because that's what everybody thought it was. Back then, it was more fitness than it was, than kind of mental, I guess,
Yeah.
Because just the way we rode the bikes and stuff. But now, it's different. Excuse me. Still got the COVID. But now it's different because one, I make sure I fine tune their technique because that is what creates speed. That's what creates consistency. And, your speed is only good as your technique allows. So boom, we master that, we fix that. Now let's work on the computer system that is controlling the body, that is riding the motorcycle. Let's just not just train the body and hope it gets fast on a motorcycle. That's ignorance, you know? So first technique, because that's the first approach. And second, what's the computer system? Let's work on that. And that's what I put more of my time into now, is making sure that their focus is laser-like. Their focus is very present. It's not all over the place. And also always talking to them in positive notes, always talking to them in positive ways, always pumping them up, not lying to them, but pumping them up and making sure that they know how damn good they are.
Okay.
Stop doubting yourself, man. Stop doubting yourself. And that's what this whole world is, just doubts. They just doubt and doubt and doubt and doubt and doubt, and they need somebody else to show them how to do it. Like all these men that need to pay other men to teach them how to be men. That's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I got a buddy that pays somebody else to tell him how to be a man. That's just, I don't know. Or they put it onto some theology or some religion or whatever that they take no stake in the game. It's always that did it for me, or that was a reason for it. What do you mean? You're the one that showed up. You're the one that took the money out of the pocket. You're the one that didn't show up. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying is, like, people need to take a little bit more responsibility in themselves. They need to honor themselves more, like we talked before.
Okay.
Who woke you up this morning? Well, people can say, oh, God woke you up. Okay, but you rolled out of bed when you didn't want to because you were all bummed out, and you still rolled out of bed. You still put your shoes on. You didn't feel like making that healthy stuff, but you did. Damn, I don't want to go to work. It sucks. It's You still went to work, right?
Yep.
I don't want to show up. All these things that we do, nobody wants to honor themselves, or nobody wants to take the credit for it. It's weird nowadays. Everybody wants to give out the credit. Oh, it's because of this, or it's because of that, or whatever it is. They don't want to take. They think it's like egotistical to say, no, I did this shit. I did this shit.
It's the hard work that you put in.
Yeah. It's the hard work that you put in, but also just the consistency you put in. But also, you have no other choice. You have no choice. It's up to you.
Yeah.
It's up to you. It's not up to anything else.
100%.
You had the gift to get here, right?
Yep.
You had the gift to get here, and whatever your gift, whatever your thing is that gave you this gift to get here, was the same thing that's going to take you out of here. But in between that, it's up to you, bro. It's completely up to you. 100% it's up to you. This whole world is on fate and free will. Fate means things are going to happen no matter what you do. There's things in life that are designed to happen to teach you, to change you, to progress you. The other one is free will. How are you going to handle that fate? How are you going to handle those situations, right? Are you going to better yourself, or are you going to limit yourself because of the poor me, the what if, what could, what I should, what I shouldn't? Right?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, like that, is that you gotta honor how powerful you truly are, and realize how much you truly love yourself. And you can't love yourself because no, you love yourself more than anybody. Think about it. Just like I talk, you put your shoes on, you feed yourself, you make sure that you're hanging around the right people, you're not going down the wrong roads. You treat yourself like you would raising a child. Not that you're raising a child, but I'm just saying that focus, that love that you would do to a child, and making sure that it's healthy, down the right roads, learning, growing, all these things. And we do that to ourselves every day, but we don't want to take the credit for it. And I think that's where everybody's missing, and everybody's stuck on belief.
So you're making a point here. You're making an argument for self-responsibility. So I'm going to put you in a situation right now as you're kind of you're the man in charge. You're the man who's going to run the entire world, or the entire country. Okay?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Exactly. And what would you do to change the current state of young men right now in the world that we have, because you touched on it on a note there, which is I've seen a lot of statistical information come across my desk about young women complain about the pussification of young men, and the young men are too afraid to even change their own tire anymore, much less be men and deal with their problems. How would Ryan Hughes walking into this, and all of a sudden you're in charge of the situation, how would you correct that?
Well, the first thing I'd do is I'd clean up the water system.
Okay,
because right now you can be filtered or whatever, but you are drinking water that is going to create more estrogen in it because it's so polluted with women's hormones from their birth control. Right?
Okay.
It's going into our water system, and then also it's manipulated. Everybody knows, and if you don't, research it. So I would change the water system. I'd clean it up. The food system, I would focus on that and change that because you're creating more estrogen in the foods, and all this stuff. I would take out the whole idea that being vegan is better and veganism is healthy, because that'll create more estrogen in a man, right? With all the lectins and oxalates and all these different things that are in vegetables. I would limit phones. Excuse me. I would have an age limit on phones. That a phone, you can't have a phone till you're maybe 16, right?
Okay.
You don't need it, and just because of what it'll start doing. You limit that because that social media is that these boys are looking up at these fake men that they say they have this, they say they're that, and then and they feel like they can't live up to it. But these men are fake. You're looking at fakeness. Go hang out with those guys for a week or two, and you're going to see a completely different man. I say the same thing with David Goggins. I say the same thing with the Tate brothers. You actually hang out with them away from this, you're going to see weakness. You're going to see things. You're going to see that, they're not maybe what you thought they were. And like they say, don't hang out with your hero, because they won't be your hero tomorrow.
100%.
Right? So that I would, try to limit that, and then also the belief system. The belief system in our world is broken. Everybody, you need to believe, you need to believe. Well, there's also disbelief and belief. And once you believe, you're dead. There's nowhere to go. Right? So we change. What's a child's favorite word? Why? Why? Because they wonder. So we go from this why, wondering, to getting older and older and older and having more power, more smarts, more intelligence, more this, and we create this belief. And a belief system owns you. Right? Because you can't think outside that box. You can't think anything different because you believe this. You were told this. And I feel like, I always say that superstition is for the weak-minded.
Okay.
Belief systems are for the weak-minded. You need someone to tell you how to live a life. You need somebody to tell you what to believe, what to think about, what to honor, what to trust, you need somebody like that. It's just like, to me, it's like religion. We're reading a book. You're listening to a man on a stage read the same book you can read, but you're taking his interpretation of it and now now changing your life on that.
Okay.
Letting that guide your life. This man on stage reading this book from his interpretation is now guiding you down your road. Okay. And you could read this book and have your own interpretation and do this. And this is what I say, okay, you want to talk about God a little bit. Well, God, for me, the stamp of God is the authenticness, being authentic.
Okay.
Nothing in this world is the same. Nothing, not a rock, not a snowflake, not a tree, not a plant, not anything. Yes, they're same species, but they're all just a little different. So the same thing with us. It's like, look, we're all the same. We're all one family, meaning 10 fingers, 10 toes, 2 eyeballs, a head, a da-da-da-da-da. But everybody's 10 fingers, 10 toes, and 2 eyeballs are a little bit different. So we are one. But this is God's stamp. I'm going to make you all just a little bit authentic. So now you guys can live your life and be the way you want to be, and not just this cookie cutter pattern, which life doesn't make. It makes one of a kind, authenticness, masterpieces. But we want to be just like everybody else. We're afraid to be authentic, and we think that we're better being a duplicate. And that's insanity. And that's why everybody's so stale right now, and everybody feels like they're missing. There's something missing in them. Yeah, there's something missing in you. That authenticness is missing in you, right?
Okay.
That's power. That's gasoline. But you're too afraid to be that, and that's where I get looked at differently because I want to be authentic. I want my authentic nature to come out. Not that I try to be anything, I just let it come out because I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. And and so that'll bring joy to you. An authentic person being real is joyful. A person that's trying to fit in is not going to be joyful because they're always going, do I look right? Do I act right? Do I talk right? And that's what happens with belief. You start walking this line of almost anxiety of making sure I fit in and look right and talk right and be right and hang. Nah, that's not life, man. That's not life.
100%. So my question on that is, and I can see why motocross is the sport that you really elected to want to be involved with, because it's a sport for individuals.
Yeah.
It's a sport that highlights that. If you're looking at a young 250 division, young 450 division right now, how do you see today's 250 and 450 riders different than yesteryears?
450 riders, tenacity-wise, this and that on the track, and they're saying because they're old, or 30 years, so they've been in the sport for 10, 12 years. The last 10, 12 years, we've seen a big change in people, I feel. Big change in the way boys are and men are and stuff like that because they're just stripping at the knees.
Yeah.
Stripping at the knees, just like we talked about. And I see most kids on to 250s, I think, are very soft. I think there's only one guy right now that I feel that can really, really make a splash in the 450 class when it happens, and that's Deegan. Hate to say it, but it is. Is that because he has this tenacity? He has this fuck you. He has a fuck you in him.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But all these other guys don't have that. They're always like, oh, bless you. He's fuck you. Okay. Right? And he would talk more shit if they allowed him, I guarantee it. And he should. But that, there's a lot of guys in that class that just, I think they're almost just a little too soft. Trying to fit in right. It's like the Christian Craigs. Just the softest little look at me. Do I look right? They're almost more into their Instagram or their YouTube than they are his racing. And he became soft, man. I don't give a shit. And that's what's happening in the sport, is that they're trying to fit in so much. They're trying to make sure they keep their job. They're trying. That's the whole thing with this sport right now, is that everybody sees the system, and the system is the people who are running it, the system. And no one will talk up. Nobody will say anything because they're just hanging on to that job. They're hanging on to that check, and they don't want to be blackballed.
Okay.
So they're going to keep everything to themselves because I say what I say, and so many people say, I wish I could say that. But they can't because they want to get this ride. They need to keep this sponsor. They're on their last dollar. You get what I'm saying? So they're going to be very quiet and let the system just continually to screw them, take money from them, not give them the prize money they should. And it happens from the amateurs to the pros. And it's a system, right? And so that's where I feel that the sport has gotten a little bit softer. And again, Shimoda, Kitchens, there's a lot of guys that will be good on 450s, but I'm just talking about mentality-wise.
Yeah.
Mentality-wise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
With a guy and I noticed this a little bit with Joe Shimoda, he is a softer, more meek, individual. But I always thought that
drives a Tesla. No.
Yeah. But I always thought, in all sincerity, it was funny because I got to sit down with Joe Shimoda about a year ago, and yeah, he has a very soft, quiet demeanor about him. At the same time, on his arm, he's got his Doberman Pinscher, and I think he's been in the United States now for a long enough period of time. He's adopted American culture. Mm-hmm. And he's starting to come out of that shell a little bit because I think a little bit of that meekness was the fact that he is from Japan. He's got that Japanese culture.
Yeah, but, there's other guys. Look at Tom Vial.
Okay.
He's very meek and kind of this and that. Yeah, these guys rip on motorcycles, but I feel Deegan will beat them almost every time.
Oh, 100.
Because of tenacity. That man fucking tenacity. Oh, you have a tattoo? Now you're tough? No, anybody can get a tattoo on you.
I'm not saying the tattoo made him tough.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you know, it's like,
yeah.
You know,
I was looking at it more from the perspective of the culture, because when you're taking these other kids from Europe, for instance, Europe's always been a meeker culture than America.
Yeah.
Asia has always been a meeker culture than America. That's one of the things about America that defines us, is the fact that we're kind of known as the cowboys.
Yeah.
We come out, we get in a fist. We have moments like you had.
Yeah.
Where I just kicked the living shit out of somebody, and damn, it felt good.
Okay, yeah, my friend.
Yeah.
And we're still friends.
And we're still friends, but damn,
we're
it
still
felt
friends,
good.
but damn, it felt good, yeah.
And that's an American thing. And I think the only other culture that would share that outlook would be Australians.
Yeah. Yeah, because they you know, they were, you know, that whole thing started from
It's a penal colony.
Yeah,
It was a British penal colony.
Yeah, they put all the bad guys there.
Yeah.
You know, that's why Australians kick ass, man.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd say Australians and South Africans.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I would definitely say they're on the same wavelength as Americans. But America's getting so soft now. I mean, go to Supercross, go anywhere. It's just like a bunch of America's done a very good job. They quieted Americans down so much that they can't even cheer anymore. Like, you go to the Supercross, it's almost like just kind of a golf clap. Nobody gets excited. It's not like Europe and they got fucking chainsaws and smoke going off and suits, and like the passion is to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And Americans are just like, okay, is it done yet? So I can go home now? And I see it, you know?
Are Americans real fans anymore?
I think Americans just like to be entertained.
Okay.
You know, just entertained. But, you know, you can't say that. I mean, the whole world has everything Americans have. You know, and Americans have everything the whole world has except other areas. But, you know, like Europe and stuff like that. It'd be different if we're the only ones with the cell phone and we're the only ones with this or social media. Everybody has it. Everybody's being affected by it. But I just think that in Europe, maybe in Europe, because it's like we can't cheer for Colorado and cheer for, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because it's still America. But in Europe, you have France, Italy, it's all like this. So every sport you go to, there's always going to be other people from you're racing and competing against athletes from so many different countries, and then America. You know, in America is most sports are run by Americans, so to speak, let's say racing. Then you have your select few that come in and participate or win.
Okay.
But it's majority Americans. Now you go to Europe, it's not just all Italians. It's not just all this. You know what I mean? It's like widespread. So I think there's kind of more excitement, more pride, more honor of your country when things are like that. So again, like in donations, then you'll see a different crowd when donations come out, right?
Okay.
Because now they're rooting for Europe or United States. I think the crowd gets more wild, right? Than when they're just maybe at Hangtown.
Okay.
Right? Because it's Hangtown National. They're just say Nationals. You know, they're not going to get as wild as crazy, but when you take the Motocross of Nations, now you're rooting for your country, and you're going against other countries, right? And so I think that can bring a little bit more passion out of it.
So this brought me into, we've already now just covered the entire show for this week, but next week, I want to give you a teaser for next week.
All right, teaser.
This is a teaser. Next week, I'm going to make a hypothetical question to you, and I want you to think about this over the week. Davey Coombs and Rita Coombs call you personally, and they say, Ryan, we can no longer run MX Sports, Loretta Lynn's, and the pro motocross. You are the guy we've chosen to run this sport. What would you do? So when you chew on that, think about it.
Well, that's easy.
Well, I know it's easy there, but let's talk about that next week. Let's talk about that next Wednesday when you come back into the studio next Wednesday and we go over that. But I wanted to see that idea in your head. You are now in charge of the entire sport. How do you change that to get that fan engagement, to get it back to where the riders are men and there is, responsibility, consequences?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
I mean, it's a big-ended question of like how to make riders men. That's not up to them. That's not. They're what's up to
It's-
them is like
They're controlling the culture, though, of the sport. That's why I say that. They're controlling a lot of those rules and that
but
culture.
you know,
in the
also the
sport.
sport is controlling the sport with also the factories and stuff like that. Like, you know, the factory riders, hey, you can't post this, you can't do this.
We let's
Okay,
let's
gotcha.
dig into that next week.
Yeah, gotcha.
All right. This has been the Ryan Hughes radio program every week here in the Big 49. We already gave you a teaser for next week what Ryan's going to talk about. He's going to talk about if you were in charge of all of it.
Yeah.
And what would
I do?
WWRD. What would Ryan do?
Yeah. Gotcha.
It's the new bumper sticker in my car.
Gotcha.
All right.
All right.
See you next week.
Yeah, Big 49. Listen up. See y'all.